Hi, it's Thursday and welcome to Mona's Kitchen. Can you believe it's day 36? I feel so grateful and so blessed that I can offer you all these fantastic recipes. Well, I've got an oldie but goodie today. It's from my Perfect Portion cookbook. It's one of the top rated recipes in the book. And we're gonna do today, we're gonna make some chicken piccata. Are you ready? Let's get started. I've already heated up my oil. I'm just waiting for it to bubble. And yes, for those of you who are just on board, I use my magic pastry brush to make sure that the skillet is nicely coated. And what you want to make sure, you just want to see a little bit of a bubble. And then once we see that little bit of a bubble, I'm going to add the chicken breast. So let me show you the chicken breast. I got thinly sliced chicken breast. We hammered them up for a little bit and then I dredged them in some gluten-free flour because remember, I'm more gluten-free than most, but you can use regular flour if you want. The cookbook, Perfect Portion, just says flour, but you could use whatever you want. So I've got it all floured up and I'm ready to go. So I'm just waiting for the oil to bubble, and it's starting to bubble now. And you want to make sure the oil is really hot because you want that sizzle. And you don't really need to worry, like this is a stainless steel pan. And I really like using stainless steel pan. This one's actually an oxy one. I'm gonna have it in my store later this week. But I really like having a stainless steel pan. It just gives a more even heat. And you're gonna get little bitty bitties at the end, but that's okay because that's the best flavor. Hey Heather, how are you? Okay, starting to sizzle. I'm gonna put it on a medium to high heat. Can you hear the sizzle? Sizzle. Doug, can you hear the sizzle?
I sure can.
Yeah. And this is about 1.5 pounds of chicken breast, which is enough for, as I always do 3 meals, so there's 2 for us, and one Doug gets the bonus meal for lunch the next day.
Yeah, I had my veggie lasagna for lunch today.
Yeah, how was it?
It was awesome.
I know, I love that veggie lasagna. I'm so glad I created that recipe. This one's really good too. There's a little bit of chicken left. Okay, can you hear that sizzle? Sizzle, sizzle. So this is gonna cook up for 3 or 4 minutes. Hey Heather, always your favorite. I'm so glad it's your favorite. So I made a few changes. So what's really good about chicken piccata is what I do in my recipe, and I looked at a whole bunch of different recipes that were in cookbooks. Do you know that for a lot of cookbooks, they use double the amount of oil? I use 2 tablespoons of oil. Most recipes call for 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil, so I've cut that down. And butter. I think 2 recipes use like between 6 and 7 tablespoons of butter, which is a lot of butter, and that's really, really heavy. I'm only using 2 tablespoons because I'm going to whisk it. Remember in the past recipes I talked about the steam sauteing and how you can combine the fat with the chicken stock? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do here. And the secret to the butter is that you add the butter at the very, very end of the recipe. And that kind of creates the end creaminess of it. So that's kind of the plan of action. There are little changes in the recipe that I'm using today because of the ingredients that I had in the house. This recipe calls for capers. We didn't have capers in the house. You know, during the pandemic, who's going to run and buy capers, right? So, but there's a great substitute for capers, and that is green olives. So who always has olives in their house? If you want a martini, a cocktail, right? So in the back of my cabinet was a bottle of green olives. So you'll see, instead of the capers today, I'm just using olives, and I cut them up. And you'll get the same salty, lemony flavor. And olives are really good for you, probably better for you than the capers because they have the really good oils, the really good fats. So it's good. And oh, just so you know, I am cooking this in an extra virgin olive oil, which is also great for you. And I cook this in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. One other thing you should know, I also season the chicken with some oregano and some salt and some pepper. And as I mentioned before, today I'm using a gluten-free flour, but if you're not gluten sensitive, then use a regular flour, it's fine. It's a little sticky. I may do my little steam saute trick and just put a teeny, teeny bit of chicken stock in here, just so it doesn't get, just a little bit. There we go. So who else is on? Hello, my friend Panina, how are you? I miss you. It's been a long time. Well, both of you. I miss Heather too. We need to get on a call and just, I wish I could see your faces, right? So chicken piccata is also a great meal. It's kind of like a chicken marsala too, because it's one of these one and done. It's done in 15 minutes, and all of it is how you do the sauce at the end, right? And all the recipes are done very similarly in that you cook up the chicken, you then take the chicken, you put it on a plate, you let it rest, you make the sauce, you mix up the sauce, you get all the bitter bitties that you have on the bottom of the pan with some chicken stock, marsala, you use wine, this we're going to use lemon juice, add some herbs, and you got it. So this is really a recipe that can be used for any type of thing, whether you add a marsala sauce or you add a piccata sauce. It's just the way that it's done. I'm also going to throw in a little bit of fresh garlic in here now, just to kind of flavorize it a little bit. Like, why not? It's cut, it's here. And who doesn't like garlic, right? So this is just going to take a couple more minutes. And what's good is that you want to take the chicken breast and really use a hammer and really hammer it down, because once you get it thinner, it takes less time for it to cook. This one needs to get flipped over. You want to start seeing like almost like a yellow, not a burning color, but like a light yellow, because you don't want to overcook these. Because they're so thin, you only need to cook them maybe for 2 to 3 minutes aside. Bosses came. Hey Jeanette, how are you? Doug, say hi to your sister.
Hey, Jeanette. How about come over for some chicken
Come
piccata?
over. Everybody should come over for chicken piccata. And hello Marla, how are you? So it's great. We've got representatives from Long Island, from Massachusetts, from Denver, family, friends. I love it. And Allie, hi Allie, how are you? I loved your post today. Love it, love it. And thanks for popping by again. For those of you who don't know Allie, she's an amazing rheumatologist. She's got a great site called The Smart Human, and you should follow her on Facebook and online. So see, Allie, I did my job. And no, she's really smart. And if you ever want to know anything about, she's a rheumatologist, she knows a lot about the environment and about nutrition, follow her. She's got great articles. Really, really great stuff. Okay. Hey, Mindy, how are you? Mindy's a friend from high school. So, Mindy, where are you living now? I think you're out west, right? Hopefully she'll write back. So we've got Allie in New Jersey, and we've got Jeanette on Long Island, we've got Marla in Colorado, and Heather in Massachusetts. This is organic chicken, by the way, and they're organic chicken breasts. Doug, my savior, was really great at hammering them down. And you see this these little bitties at the bottom? Don't worry about them. You know why? Because that's what's really going to flavorize the chicken. So when we're done, I'm going to throw in the chicken breast and the lemon juice, and they're all going to rise, and that's where the flavor of the sauce is really going to be. So don't ever get nervous like, oh my God, what's all this stuff on the bottom of my pan? It's the good stuff. You want to put this on a medium to high flame. Here, it's almost done. And this is going to get cooked a little bit more once the sauce is on, the last few minutes. It's starting to cook up. You're starting to see a light brown, which is really what you want to be. And you want to have a plate ready. Always, rule of thumb, always get a clean plate. Don't put it back on the plate where the raw chicken was, because that's not really good. Make sure you have a clean plate ready. Oh, Mindy lives in Seattle. Cool. I love Seattle. Doug and I were just talking about Seattle today.
Yeah, I'd like to get back there one of these days
and
travel again.
Yeah, you sure would. Maybe come visit. Okay, so this is pretty much ready. It's getting light brown. So I'm going to put this on my plate here, and give it a rest. See, you got a light brown. And you don't want to overcook this, because you want it to be nice and juicy when you have it. I'm going to lower the heat just for a little bit. And all this brown stuff on the bottom is the good stuff, because it's all going to rise. I'm just going to get...
That looks good already.
Yeah, I know. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the onions. Sizzle, sizzle. Just need to return to the heat, and then they're going to deglaze, what they call this from a culinary standpoint. We're just going to put the onions up for like 30 seconds, and then we're going to deglaze it by adding the chicken stock and the lemon juice. So I'm gonna add some chicken stock. And as I mentioned yesterday, I like doing a little bit at a time. Sizzle, sizzle. And then I'm gonna use my favorite little gadget, my lemon juicer. And I don't know if I told you guys, but I have a new website. It's called monadolgov.com. And all these little gidgy gadgets and appliances like my pan and the zester, if you like any of them and you want to go grab one on Amazon, I'm going to have them in my store in the next few days. So that way you can just pick them up and get them, which is kind of cool. I'm putting in the lemon. It's so easy, just putting the lemon juice like that. Hands free, right? Just going to put in the lemon juice. And if you wanted to put a little bit of white wine, you could do that too. I just don't have any in the house, but you could do that too. Okay, so now we're in the deglazing process. So I put in my onions and my my chicken broth. I'm going to add the rest of my chicken broth right now. Okay, and then we're going to just let this rest for a little bit. I'm going to let it. And if you like more sauce, then my recommendation would be to add a little bit more broth, which I think I'm going to do. It depends. Some people like sauce, but I'd rather do the sauce with more chicken broth than more butter. So you're better off just adding a little bit more chicken broth, and you got the lemon, which is great. And you're just going to let this kind of soak up all the flavors that's underneath. I'm going to add a little bit more of the garlic that I had. Why not? And then the next thing I'm going to do, this is going to reduce by about a half, and then I'm going to bring the chicken back, and then you add the butter at the very end, which is so cool. Who else came on board? Hi Sherry, how are you? I'm glad you like that, Heather. Okay, so this is getting thicker a little bit. We're just going to kind of thicken it up. You want the onions to soften. And for those of you who are not familiar with my cookbook, let me just show you guys. This is, I know it's backwards, I apologize. This is called a Perfect Portion Cookbook. You can find it on Amazon or on my website, monadolgov.com. It has some great recipes and it shows you like what a portion would be. So like this dinner that we're going to have tonight will probably be 400 calories, and then with the vegetables and the salad, it's going to be a perfect 500 calorie meal. So how cool is that? All right, so the sauce is simmering now. So we're going to add our capers, but as I mentioned before, I didn't have any capers in the house. So one great substitute for capers are green olives. So I'm adding some green olives today. And the reason I'm adding green olives is because you want the saltiness, and that will, they work really well. It's almost like a, you know, a really nice Mediterranean lemon dish. And they're really nice. You really don't miss the capers that much. If you have capers in the house, you could definitely add that in. So I'm going to put my olives in, and then I'm going to put in my the capers, and then I'm going to add in my chicken. Putting back the chicken.
Come on back, chicken.
Come on back, chicken. It's time for you to get sauced up. So you want them, what do you want them to do? You want to make sure that everything gets kind of coated with the lemon sauce. There we go. Chicken kind of got to cut up a little bit, but that's all right. I think Doug did a lot of pounding today, right, Doug?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so you want it in, I like having my chicken in little pieces like this because it's good for portion control and all that good stuff. So I'm just gonna soak it in the sauce for like a minute or two. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add in some butter. That's the best part. And instead of the 4 or 5 tablespoons that a recipe usually calls for, you only need to add 2, which is just awesome, and it's just the right amount. You know, a lot of these recipes, you know, I was working on a cookie today, and I'm working on this pecan shortbread cookie. I'm going to present it to you guys in a couple of days, and I looked, and I wanted to do a shortbread because it required like 10 tablespoons of butter. It's like, wow, like why? So there really is no why. It can taste just as good with a quarter of it or a half of it if you know how to kind of mix it and know how to blend it together. So by having the lemon juice and the chicken stock, a little bit more of that. Now the last part, I'm going to add the butter in. You take it off the heat and you add the butter in. This is 2 tablespoons of butter, and I put it in small pieces so it's going to be easy to mix it. And what the butter does at the end, you put it in at the end, it's going to thicken the sauce and it's going to be amazing. And so this meal will give you about 400 calories. So what else can you have with it? Mona's way, as you know, is to have 2 to 3 cups of vegetables, right, guys? And to have a color of every color of the rainbow. So I always look at my refrigerator and kind of see what I have. So today I had a little bit of broccoli left. I had some carrots left over. I had a couple of potatoes. So one thing that I love to do is just get a cookie sheet, put all the veggies on a cookie sheet, roast them up for like a half an hour, and then you've got all your sides. And Doug was helpful. He made his favorite mozzarella and tomato salad, which is just so awesome. But check out what happens to the sauce here. I'm gonna just show them the sauce here. Look at the sauce now. It's so nice and thick. Isn't that cool? Like the sauce is like so thick now and delicious. Look at that. And then I'm gonna end this. It needs a little color. Or I say color, as they say in New York. So it needs a little color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some fresh basil. You could add fresh parsley if you want. I'm just gonna add some fresh basil at the end. And we're done. So we've got a whole dinner of chicken piccata. Doesn't that look yummy? Yummy delish. This is about 3 servings. I'm gonna bring it over here. I've already plated it. Look at my pretty plates I've already made. So on my plate right now, I've got my mozzarella and tomato salad. How beautiful is that? I've got some roasted broccoli, a cup of that's already. Have my 2 cups of vegetables. I had some leftover yellow carrots in my refrigerator, so I just roasted them up with a little oregano and onion. So we're gonna have some of that. Isn't Doug a lucky guy? He gets to eat all this great food. Right? Okay, so now I'm up to like 2.5 cups of vegetables. I had a couple extra little Yukon Gold potatoes. And then I had to make my mother's potatoes because she always loved to make it with chicken piccata. So this is a combination, my mother's potatoes, and they're almost like
potato chips. Almost.
It's like a potato chip. Really great. I cook it for a half an hour, spray olive oil on it, and then I just mixed up a combination of paprika, oregano, and kosher salt and pepper. So, so good. So I'm just gonna put a few potatoes in. Someone's asking me a question. Yummy indeed, yes. Hey Christina, how are you? Hi Jody. Heather wants to know, would you use the Castellano olives? Those are my favorite. I don't know, I'm not familiar with that. Are those the green olives? If they are, then yes. Anything that's kind of salty, that gives a salty flavor, if you don't have capers in the house, then I think would work just fine. Look at, I have my little potato chips. They're really delish. I love my mother used to make those. I was thinking about my mom today, so. And then last but not least, I have our chicken piccata. Hey Doug, you want to grab me a spoon? I'm going to start with 1 piece, and Doug will probably have 2. And then I'm going to grab my spoon and just kind of get some of this lemon, onion, olive goodness. Oh, is that our birdie again?
Yeah, he's back.
Our birdie's back. For those of you who don't know, we have a robin who comes and visits us every morning and every night, knocks on the window. So here we are, guys. This beautiful, beautiful chicken piccata dinner with some roasted broccoli, some tomato mozzarella, some roasted carrots. Those are white carrots with a little onion. My mom's roasted potatoes. And I've got my 3.5 cups of vegetables. I've got my my chicken piccata here. So the whole dinner, if you want, what I like to do at the end is grab this piece of lemon and just give it a little squeeze at the end. So, so good. And we're ready to have dinner. How great is that? So, and it's Castellano Sicilian pitted olives. I guess that's fine. So you have this wonderful, delicious dinner. So this meal is probably about 550 calories, perfect. But look how much food again, guys. Everything is nutrient dense. You've got 4 vegetables going on. You've got chicken with 1/3 of the butter and 1/3 of the fat than you would in normal chicken piccata. And it's gonna taste just as delicious. So let me say hi before I end. Hey, Carol, how are you? Hey, Christina. Oh, thanks, Christina. And thanks, Heather. It looks amazing. So I want all you guys to come over and eat with me, but I know you can't. But one thing you can do is that you can make this recipe. And the other thing that you can do too, if you love this video, if you love any of the other videos, share them with your friends and family on Facebook. Tell them to follow me at Mona Dolgov. And go to my website, monadolgov.com. My shop, my little store is opening up. I have my 2 cookbooks there now. And by the end of the week, I'll have a little store with all my gidgy gadgets and pots and pans that I love to use. So keep following me, keep enjoying. My gift is for you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I miss you guys. And I'll see you tomorrow. What do you think tomorrow? Dessert or breakfast? You let me know, okay? See ya. Bye.